Budget season is in full swing, and that means there's a lot of planning that's going on. We're going to talk about planning today, but we're going to talk about a different kind of planning, specifically business continuity planning. My guest today to talk about that is Jonathan Morton, Vice President of Product Marketing at IPC. Jonathan, thanks for being here.
Hi, Greg. Glad to be here. Thanks.
So business continuity planning is something that really doesn't really have a season, right? It's sort of an all-year-round process. And I wondered, first of all, if you could tell us a little bit about how the thinking or the approach to BCP has changed over, say, the last 10 years.
Greg, what we see is that clients really think about BCP when they're forced to, and it really depends on what events are going on at any given time.
Okay.
So as you can imagine, after 9/11, there was a tremendous amount of focus on BCP and what the capabilities were, and really investing in those types of technologies. Similarly, in Asia, when the avian flu hit, the Asian firms over there, many of the Asian firms were investing in BCP technology and were very interested in the different capabilities. So I think it really varies very much based on whatever incidents are occurring at any given time. But I think overall the evolution has moved from more of a operational risk to these days much more of measuring and trying to reduce financial risk.
Okay.
And of course, connecting to your counterparties is part of managing that financial risk.
Right. Okay. Very good. And I can see that. I mean, that makes a lot of sense coming out of the financial crisis when people couldn't figure out how to value assets and things like that, and where the risks were and all of that. So now, as the approach has changed, Jonathan, has the technology around BCP changed as well to sort of keep up?
It certainly has. I think two areas that we've seen a big change in are, one is that systems have moved from being much more hardware-based to being more software-based. And as soon as the move to software began to happen, you're able to much more easily incorporate failover capabilities and resiliency right into the system day one, and then the customer really has the option to purchase those or not, but the capabilities are built right in.
Okay.
The other thing that we've seen, and IPC provides voice communication solutions. One of the things that we've seen is the move to IP voice, so voice over IP, and delivering voice using essentially data technology.
Okay.
So really there's a heavy borrowing of data architectures and data approach in the voice arena. And what that does essentially is provide a number of new layers of resiliency and failover and of course BCP capabilities.
Right, right. And as this technology has changed, as you say, moving to more sort of software-based and using kind of data, voice as data. Can you tell us a little bit specifically about how companies are employing BCP solutions, if you will?
Absolutely. So in the connectivity area, we see that either firms or even in metropolitan areas, ring architectures are used quite heavily, and in a point-to-point environment, often redundant links are established so that should one link fail, there's a failover to an alternate link. And I think it's worth pointing out that particularly with managed service providers like IPC and other firms, we use a number of underlying carriers to provide the connections to our customers.
Right.
And when you've got a number of underlying carriers that make up your network, if one underlying carrier is experiencing a problem, in general, you've got an alternate carrier that you can then move to provide that same connection. So there's really an inherent level of resiliency with that type of approach.
Okay. Now,
I'm sorry, Greg. Let me mention one other thing in the trading communications area. So that was the connectivity part. In the communications area, there's a whole range of solutions that are available to clients, and those at one end are really just a soft turret or a software version of what they use at of the hardware that they use in their office.
Okay.
And they can use that soft turret either at home or in an alternate office, an alternate location. At the other end of that spectrum, you've got dual data center environments where a trading floor, if it's normally connected to one data center and that data center experiences a problem, that trading floor can reconnect to an alternate data center. So there's really a whole range of options, all of them leveraging new software capabilities and IP capabilities.
Right. Okay, good. Well, thanks for adding that. Now, clearly this is an investment, and so I'm wondering whether this is an investment that really the big banks, the big firms are making today, or whether perhaps this change in technology is moving to, again, toward more software-based solutions, if you will, whether that is allowing sort of the medium, smaller firms to adopt some of these things, or I mean, some may be forced to anyway, given the environment that we're in. But
yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about sort of the adoption of BCP strategies?
So I think that's definitely happening. Traditionally, it's really been the larger firms that have been more interested in BCP options and capabilities, that have invested in those types of capabilities. Mm-hmm. And with the advent of more software-based solutions, with the advent of voice over IP, the cost has come way down. And as you said, I think certainly now we're seeing a much increased interest from the medium and smaller firms to implement these kind of capabilities.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much. So we've just sort of scratched the surface on business continuity planning and how that's changed, how the approach, the view of it has changed, and how technology is being brought to bear today. If you're interested in learning more, there's actually going to be a webinar on November 16th beginning at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Jonathan is going to be one of the panelists on that webinar along with Alex Tabb, a partner here at Tabb Group. So you can go to TabbForum.com to our events section, click through and register for that. So again, we're talking about business continuity planning and the importance thereof. My guest today has been Jonathan Morton, Vice President of Product Marketing at IPC. Thank you for watching.